Katseye has been one of the most explosive yet controversial music acts to be introduced in the last couple of years. From the goofy music to the production of the group itself, there's a lot to pick apart and analyze, especially with the puzzling new EP that they released last week. And today I just want to get to the bottom of Katseye to answer the question, why is the group like that? Alright, to start our story, let's take it from the point where I got introduced to these girls. I had no idea they were even on a reality show. I thought Touch was annoying because it played every 5 seconds at my regular job. And I just generally had no idea who these girls were. Then one fateful day, Gnarly was shoved onto my TikTok algorithm like nothing before. I couldn't escape this song no matter what I watched. Like, every single time I tried to steer my TikTok algorithm in a different direction by like watching videos of old people making milkshakes. I just couldn't escape it no matter where I went. Now, this should have been the warning as to what the group's music would eventually devolve into, but I didn't care because I liked the music. Gnarly as a song is absolutely the best in Katseye's catalog.
Brother, this guy stinks!
That one was bad. It's totally up my alley with its quirky and extreme aesthetics. There's the loudest Sophie-style snares that you've ever heard in your life, these distorted guitar loops, these rolling kicks and bass, and very shrill vocals about the meaningless of the party life all beautifully collide into, well, chaos. And that's pun number 2, baby. Please don't click off of this video. Gnarly is such a good time if you just lose yourself in the silliness of it all and partake in a type of hyper-indulgence that's quite synonymous with the Katseye brand now. In addition, the way all of these girls were dancing their asses off, like, my god, this music video solidified my personal image of them as some of the best performers alive right now. Every single one of these girls is so beautiful and so talented and just has this undeniable stage presence, which is undoubtedly one of the key factors to their constant viral success. In fact, these girls are so captivating that one of their most successful pieces of media is an ad for fucking jeans. Jeans! And yet, not once did they ever try to appeal to the never nude.
Excuse me, do these effectively hide my thunder?
This choreography, which is synonymous with the group at this point, is for a song that isn't even theirs. That's how much of a stage presence that they have. Anyway, the group was clearly building up this image of themselves as these LA party girls, which, this aesthetic was littered all over the music video, obviously. So this made it extra confusing when the next single for their EP, Beautiful Chaos, dropped. This one was called Gabriella, and in comparison to the hyperpop aesthetics of Gnarly, it was a complete switch up into some Latin grooves, and it felt pretty tame by comparison. So tame, in fact, that it feels like a leftover from the previous EP cycle, Sis, but that's just my theory. A music theory! The vibe leading up to the release of the EP was mixed because the lead singles were total opposites. And that certainly didn't resolve itself on the EP with any kind of thematic through line. Beautiful Chaos feels like it tries to sample a little bit of everything without the commitment. MIA goes for this funk sound that I think plays out fairly well with the lyrical content about peeling out the club with your girls, you know? Game Boy's aesthetics are littered with these quirky chiptune aesthetics with a very strong foundation of R&B swing with Afrobeat percussion. Overall, I like this EP. Doesn't really tell me anything I should know about these girls as artists, but if you lose yourself in the silliness of it all, it's a really good time. My main takeaway is that they're really straddling between two extremes. This hyperpop party girl aesthetic that the label really wants to pursue, and yet they're still clinging onto the cutesy demeanor of like the Touch Sis era. And if we know anything about music labels and chasing money at this point, I don't think they're gonna want to let either of these go because they're both equally as profitable. So let's veer with caution and optimism into the next EP cycle. Alright, let's do this next EP cycle chronologically since I was fully paying attention to the group by this point. So in January of 2026, Katseye released their first comeback single, Internet Girl. And man, people tore it to shreds. Icons cried out, and this is an exact quote that I've seen like a bunch of times. You let them get away with gang, 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 fried chicken, Gnarly, and now we're here. And, yeah, I will defend Gnarly's lyricism because I do think that there is a point to it of, the party life being a little bit vapid and meaningless. But yeah, no, for Internet Girl, I'm not willing to go to bat for this song. I don't like it. Even though the production was interesting, like the lyrics just fucking ruin the entire thing. And now I'm going to read some of these lyrics to you so you can get an idea of what we're dealing with here. Ahem. Eat zucchini. Eat zucchini. Eat zucchini. Eat zucchini. Do you read me? Like the emoji? I want you. I want you. I want you. This felt very transparently like the label's response to the popularity of Gnarly, but without any understanding of what made it iconic and silly. You know, fried chicken, gnarly, boba tea, gnarly. It's just listing a bunch of vapid items and things that you do when you're in the party life. And then, of course, the production does the rest of the heavy lifting. Internet girl? It just doesn't have that. In fact, it makes me feel like they think I'm stupid and that I'll eat up anything that they put out with these girls. And I fucking did. I wanted this song to be good so badly that I rewrote the lyrics on my own time so that it made more sense. The single was clearly meant to launch the next EP cycle for the group, which was moving at a breakneck pace to expand their maximalist, capitalist pop agenda through ads, song releases, music videos, and just basically anything the label could get their grubby little hands on. Any aspect of Gnarly that the fans actually liked, the label tried to boil down into its most easily reproducible form for the next project. The promotional machine was starting to get exhausting, but there was one snag that took any and all attention away from the fans' fatigue. Manon's own fatigue. In February of 2026, it would be announced that Manon, one of the members of the group, was going to be taking a hiatus on Weverse. If you don't know what Weverse is, it's basically a social media for like K-pop stars to connect with their fans and earn money on live streams, I think? I'm not entirely sure. All I know is that it's managed by BTS's parent company, HYBE. The reason stated for this hiatus was her health and well-being, and I don't think that should be any reason to villainize her nor any of these other girls. Because, oh my god, the discourse machine started up so fast, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up one of the racist pieces of discourse around Manon. So, Manon is a black woman, and it's certainly not a coincidence that this announcement coincides with rumors of her being lazy or not in it for the long haul, because God forbid a black woman focus on her health. With the sheer speed that the group has been pumping out music, TikToks, and ads, and all of these, in addition to live shows, rehearsals, song recording sessions, it's a lot of fucking work. I think that any reasonable person would encourage a break from all of that. Oh, silly me. Did I just imply that the internet should be reasonable instead of insanely racist? Anyway, the reason I bring all of this up is because the label did absolutely nothing to protect or defend Manon from this wave of hate. No statement was issued other than the original one about her going on hiatus, and there was no active attempt to disavow the awful treatment this woman was getting. I know I mentioned rumor mills briefly, but they just talk shit about all of these young women constantly in insanely harmful ways that imply bullying within the group. They body shame these women, and they create this air of toxicity around the iKON fandom. iKON, by the way, is short for Katseye Stan. It's kind of like how BTS's fans are called ARMY, or the Beehive, etc., etc., etc. You get it. The label has never commented on any of this, and I do think this is an area where I think silence counts as saying something. In this case, it's saying, we don't care about the well-being of any of the members. Now, if I was a music label, what would I care about instead? I think I'm gonna have a very long and hard think about that one. Well, that got kind of dark, so let's pick up the pace a little bit now because it's April. We need a banger so that we can get ready for summer. Too bad we didn't get one here. Pinky Up was the next single released for this EP cycle, and it got a lot of backlash, mainly from people upset with the hyperpop EDM direction that the group is taking. Now, personally, I'm a huge fan of this song, but I do think that it wastes its own potential, which is honestly how you could describe the entirety of Katseye's music at this point. It's so close to being about something, to being this Venga Boy style banger, but then the dance break plays. But the dance break plays, and it's undoubtedly the best part of the song because it breaks down into this, like I said, Venga Boy style EDM synth.
Then the beat dropped and we exploded into our moves. We were doing the whip, the nay-nay.
But once that part is over, and it only lasts like 20 seconds, the song just ends unceremoniously. We just really had a lot of potential with this hyperpop EDM sound, and then it just all got wasted. The one thing I can't knock is the music video. They've got this like party in a liminal space vibe going on, and I am absolutely obsessed with it. I'm sure you could see where I got the thematic idea to record in these kinds of places. And you know what else is crazy about this song? Come a little closer. This is the height of the entire EP. Let's fast forward a few months to talk about the EP itself, titled Wild. The first track that isn't Pinky Up, Animal, is some Ed Sheeran slop trying to Oh, fuck, we lost another one. Sophia went on hiatus for similar reasons as Manon a week before the EP released, and this time, there's no discourse about her being lazy, and I just explained why this is specific to Manon. I'm not doing it again, you can't make me. Animal is some Ed Sheeran slop trying to reheat Gabriella's nachos. The only thing that comes to mind is a bad spy movie that this song was made for the trailer of. Well, close enough. The next track I want to cover, Bel Air, it aims to be a more narrative-focused track with these blaring synth-pop elements that are wasted on a story with nothing significant to say about this idea of the one who got away. It's like a scrap Charlie XCX demo. Okay, that would explain a lot. Now, the last two songs I wanted to analyze right here and not chronologically in terms of the EP order, because they feature something we haven't really gotten into yet. Gratuitous sexuality. Don't get me wrong, I love me some gratuitous sexuality in my pop music. It's one of my favorite things about it. If it's paired with a woman's agency, I find it empowering as a woman. Sorry, 1 second, I lost something. I gotta go check for it. No, it's not in here. Ah, fuck, it's not in there either. Let me check behind the camera. Nope, can't find it there either. Sorry guys, I can't find these women's agency anywhere. In the Hootie Fruity music video, my god, that's something I have to say out loud. In the Hootie Fruity music video, their bodies are featured so prominently that it literally cuts off everything else about the group. In so many shots, you can't even see these girls' faces. It's just so many close-ups of tits and ass, and it just kind of makes me sick to my stomach in a really bad way. You know what else makes me sick to my stomach? The lyrical content of the song. Not only is it bad, but it's gross. I like my mochi drenched in chocolata. Tutti frutti like the $20 smoothies in LA. All backed by the most boring Brazilian funk beat you've ever heard in your life. Like, it's just rage baiting at this point. The song That Way also has some god-awful lyrics that, honestly, I don't even want to show you because of how tasteless and on the nose they are. And you've heard me in my mouth. I usually don't pull back. Before we close this section, I just want to give you some food for thought about the gratuitous sexuality in the music lately. This is the first EP cycle that was produced where all of the members of the group were over 18. Now, I don't want to say anything definitive about that because, I'm not them. I'm not a fucking lawyer. However, if I was a label looking to display my very young girl group in a provocative and objectifying way, I would probably wait until all of them were 18 to avoid as much legal trouble as possible. By the way, yes, earlier for that bit, I was looking in a toilet that's glowing green for some reason. VRChat is a wonderful place. So all of this begs the question, why are we moving at such a breakneck pace when it's clearly to the detriment of the art and the artists themselves? I think to properly explore this, we'll need to talk about the K-pop system that the group's label management comes from. Tutti fruit, 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 fruit. That's all my head has been for the last little bit. Oh god, it's nice to sit down finally. Now that we've broken down the entire album cycle, I think it's worth it to back up a second, talk about what exactly Katseye is, other than a girl group, and what the company made them aim to do. Labor exploitation! If you've ever wondered how these massive projects get made, or how these random teenagers are scouted for a girl group, it goes like this. Basically, these massive companies like Hybe, Geffen, which is owned by UMG, those bastards, SM, JYP, and just a bunch of other kinds of talent agencies, hold auditions or they do scouting like many other talent agencies out there. However, once selected and a contract is signed, many people will undergo what's called a trainee period. Not period, trainee period. YouTube. Okay, I know I actually said it, but that was bad. That was a bad pun and bad content. I gotta bleep that. During this time, you go to this place that's kind of like a boarding school / boot camp for the performing arts. At these places, you learn all that's needed to become an idol, like your media training, the performance arts, learning more languages, and you get physically conditioned.
Since I was 11, I got casted, and then you'd go through this rigorous training system to become a K-pop idol. And so that was like 11 till 22. It's like essentially like you learn Korean, not Korean, sorry. Well, for me, I had to get better at Korean, and then dancing, singing, jazz dancing, rapping, Chinese, Japanese, acting.
Am I too old to do this?
Now, throughout this process, trainees are evaluated for things like their vocal and dance ability. The age distribution, visual chemistry, and compatibility with the group concept, personality, weight, and just even more shit that's out of the employee's control. And I use that word employee intentionally because what they are doing for these labels is labor. So let's get into some of the scheduling and the labor that these trainees, who I should emphasize are extremely young, teenagers in a lot of cases, have to perform. Imagine you're like 15 years old and you've been obsessed with the idea of being a pop star ever since you were little. One day, you finally get the news that big K-pop liked your audition tape so much that they want you to sign a contract with them. Obviously, you sign it because you're 15 and your dreams are coming true, and of course you'd want the access to all the training facilities that big K-pop would provide. One of the big pieces that you have on your mind is the living situation, since they will be providing the dormitories. Sure, you're gonna miss your family, but it's gonna be worth it to have access to all of the training in the world for this dream to come true. Fast forward to when the actual training happens, and it's a lot more work than you thought. Your days are intensely structured with a 5 a.m. wake up.
So as I said, I asked a couple of my friends how they felt about it when they were trainees, and one person told me that they had a lot of trouble with the scheduling that the trainees had. So they would practice from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Followed immediately by heading to the dance studio. And you drill choreo for several hours at maximum effort, and you're dead tired by the end.
I woke up early in the morning. I went to company, vocal training, 2 hours after dancing, 2 hours later Japanese and Chinese. Camera testing, so busy day.
After that, you still have regular classes to attend since you're in high school and the government mandates it. Once the day tips over into the afternoon, it's time for vocal training and rap practice for another few hours. You forgot to drink water during this, so your voice is hoarse and it still feels like knives are in your throat. You think about going to get a drink of water really quickly, but you're being evaluated. What if during that drink of water, they seem to interpret that you don't want it as hard?
When they were about to leave, so when you're trying to leave the company and you say, oh, like, okay, like, I'm gonna leave now, they'll kind of pressure you and be like, oh, have you practiced enough today? Or you're satisfied with what you practiced. You have to end up staying longer because you feel pressured to.
So you suck it up, you live through the pain, and you get on with it. But your afternoon isn't over yet, because you still got a camera choreo test to do with several of your classmates, where you'll be ranked on performance ability and visual chemistry.
전년 때부터 춤을 시작하고
남자들은 말해 여잔 그저
저는 요즘 진짜 자신감이 없고 난까이 나이따다
지금 무대에 올라와서 내가 이 티켓을 딱 표를 사서 공연 관객의 입장에서 봤는데 나 이런 공연이면 환불할 거야.
Even though you're so exhausted, you have to keep an energetic smile throughout all of it, lest an evaluation catches you off guard and deems your personality unfit for debut. After a minimal dinner, evening arrives, and with it comes language classes and media training. You can barely pay attention to your fatigue, but you somehow manage to stick with the lesson until the very end. By this point, it's about 11 p.m., and you still have several hours ahead of you, involving watching your own dances to critique them, practicing dance and vocals until your muscle memory is completely overridden, and of course, all of the written homework, as well as getting everything ready for your next assessment. Maybe one night that involves fixing your hair for a few hours until it looks just right. Maybe another includes looking at dieting tips so you can be the target weight for the next assessment.
진짜 많이 빠졌어. 진짜 대박.
되게 많이 빠졌네.
빠질 수밖에 없지.
물도 못 먹었어요.
아 진짜 열흘 만에 40%. 진짜 50. 진짜. 저 진짜 너무 힘들었어요. 47.9. 진짜 박수. 우리 서로에게.
You also briefly peek into cosmetic surgeries that the in-house stylist suggested.
My egg says my under eye bag. Guys, this is 100% genetics. Here's the photo proof. My dad, my aunt, they all have the exact same eyes as me. When I first joined the company as a teenager, they actually suggest removing my under eye bags.
And not so gently suggest that you go ahead and get these cosmetic surgeries. as a still developing 15-year-old. By the time you close the laptop, it's 3 a.m. and you need to get those 2 hours of sleep before waking up at 5 a.m. to do it all again. There's also several aspects of your life that you didn't expect the company to control. It seems like you have to keep your personality and social life completely squeaky clean to mold to whatever the image the label wants you to be.
They take away your phones sometimes, or if they give you your phones, it's very strict. You can not do social media whatsoever, and also texting. You're not allowed to text guys. Well, for girls, you're not allowed to text guys, and for guys, you're not allowed to text girls. Some companies even make you guys delete all the guys' numbers on the phone, or if you're a guy, they make you delete all the girls' numbers on the phone. And for what I heard, there are actually some companies that do phone inspections, so it'll just be a random phone inspection. They're gonna just tell you to come in, and then you open up like your Kakao, and they're just gonna go through it. And if they find you texting a guy, you will get in trouble, or you might just get kicked out.
For example, the only Instagram you're allowed to use must be highly curated, and you can't speak out on important political issues.
We just decided to go live, me and Shen and Lara. Just, you know, for funsies.
This is not approved.
This is the first time we didn't get the live approved. We're being rebellious.
More concerningly, you're only allowed to date members of the opposite sex. There's zero partying or having other kinds of experiences that kids your age have, the kind of irresponsible shenanigans that are important for your social development. Your social life, without you really realizing it, has entirely become in this building. However, the most shocking degree of control that they have over is your diet, body, and face. They keep you on a strict diet and do weigh-ins every week to rank and compare you with your classmates.
朝何も食べない。昼サラダちょっと食べて、夜食べないみたいな生活をしてて、多分1日に300キロカロリーぐらいしか取ってなかった時、本当に力が出なくて、貧血は起こすし、いや本当に死ぬかと思いましたね。いや本当に死を覚悟しました。なんか
It's very intense and emotional. So much so that you've started taking to behaviors like binging and purging, which are so harmful to your developing, remember, 15-year-old body. You're a teenager, especially with all of the intense exercise you do. Your body should be fueled properly by the food you eat. What are you gonna do? Say no to any of this? How could you? This is your entire life at this point, and these people gave you the opportunity of a lifetime. And if you leave now, you might have an insane amount of debt to pay back to the company, and you'll never get your chance to debut.
After 5 years of training and 3 years of promoting as an idol, the money left in my bank account was not zero. It was negative. When you're a trainee, things like dorm rent, lessons, training lessons, and food all start stacking up as debt. Then after you debut, album production, music videos, styling, marketing, all of that also gets deducted from our payment.
So, exhausted, you keep playing the game in front of you until all of the lines in your life between school, life, and work are blurred. And guess what? Throughout all of this work, there's no guarantee that you will ever debut.
They ever tell you like why you never debuted?
Definitely. They were like, because again, it's like it's a business right now. Like I get why completely. I wasn't that good at singing.
The company could either shelve you or kick you back to the curb. Now, obviously, this entire thing was a hypothetical where I combined several aspects of control that these labels demonstrate just so I could get through all of the points without making 5 million caveats each time. The point is, working conditions are not great during trainee school. Work-life balance gets blurred, and it doesn't stop once you debut either. You need to keep the momentum going to sustain your career with interviews, flag festivals, concerts, ads, brand deals, making TikToks. All of this media circus keeps going in a concerted effort to keep the brand of the group relevant for as long as possible. If we go back to Katseye specifically for a second, they did training for about a year, and then did a survival competition reality show back in 2022 called Dream Academy. This was basically a competition reality show that was hosted on Netflix to document the formation of this group. The group itself was formed by HYBE, the company that manages BTS, and Geffen, which is a subsidiary of UMG. Both of them made this concept to see if they could bring the K-pop model of pop music to international audiences, with like this training period and constant media attention and like Weverse posts and stuff like that. Now, mixing the already high pressure to debut with a fucking elimination reality show is actual mental torture for all of these young girls who just wanted to make it in the industry. It's no wonder members are dropping like flies for their hiatuses right now. The train has been going for 5 years non-stop at this point. These women need a goddamn break. However, Hybe and Geffen seem to have a different plan, as the group is continuing as only 4 members right now. For performances, interviews, absolutely everything. They will not stop the machine because they have no incentive to. They're making so much fucking money off of these girls. I love Katseye's music so much, and they have so much potential. Honestly, I think this style of music labeling has potential too. If you're not really into K-pop, I think the best analogy to explain why people are so passionate for it is musical theater. There's a concept that a talented roster of people get cast for, and the format allows for so much creative flexibility on what these performances and what these concepts look like. But current labor laws are not set up or enforced to make this style of performance completely ethical. The sheer number of performances, interviews, brand collabs, and other projects require energy greater than any human is capable of having. Ultimately, it's hard to read any of this in a way other than the labels wanting even more control over their artists and make them work even longer and harder than they already do in the West, which already has a terrible work culture. I wish these girls the best, and I hope they can be fulfilled knowing they've brought so much joy to millions of people. But more importantly, I hope they get a fucking break. Please subscribe. I hope you like the new filming style. I liked making it a lot. And I'll see you guys next time.